Hello, Freeman.
Hello, Lilu. How are you?
Very good. I'm glad to do this. Is it the third or fourth session of the weight release series?
Release 4. Number
Four!
4.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Fourth session, so I just want to remind everybody watching that you're actually a number one weight release coach in America, so I'm blessed by that, and you're the author of The Weight Release: A Liberating Journey.
Well, now I'm going to have to go beyond America because I'm doing this to France, so we're going to have to go international.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
the,
yes.
the international weight release coach.
Yes. Really like that concept, and I know many people watching this are enjoying that whole concept of releasing the weight rather than losing it.
Yeah, this is a major distinction, and it's interesting because I feel, and you can tell me how you're doing, that you are releasing a lot of, and when I say weight, let me be specific, because what we recognize with this work is that the weight is an outward manifestation of an inner reality. So what we actually are releasing is the burden of a thought system. And that's a thought system that has us caught in unhealthy patterns of behavior. So when we say weight release, I want to be very clear that the notion is not that we're simply losing, that we're not fixing or getting rid of anything, that we're actually embracing the totality of our experience, which when we express it in an accurate, loving, compassionate way, will allow us very naturally to end a lot of the unhealthy patterns that cause weight gain. Hey, hang on one sec. Katie, would you just go make sure that it gets turned off and just... I think it's in the kitchen somewhere. Okay. Sorry, there's bells ringing, and so that's that.
That makes it real.
Yeah, it makes it very real. Does that so does that all you're understanding this concept? I think you're getting it completely.
Yes.
Great. So let's start right there. What is the burden? What is the thought system? What is the burden that you are currently working on releasing? And let's fix. All right, let's work with the intention around that specifically. So what is it, Lilu, that you are releasing?
That's a good question. I'm releasing.
Okay, then maybe I jumped ahead. Okay, let's talk about it then. So the unhealthy patterns of behavior around food, the overeating, the unhealthy eating, is an expression of what belief, thought system, or agreements? What is it an expression of?
It's an expression of not being good enough.
Great.
Of not being understood.
So misunderstood?
Yeah, of being different.
Okay.
Of not fitting in.
Okay.
Of not knowing myself as able to express emotions in any other different way or handle them.
Okay, so you're in there. Great. Okay, so so it's an inappropriate way of dealing with emotions, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or unhealthy. Inappropriate sounds too judgmental. Okay, so we want to find a healthier expression of your emotions. I learned something big. I had the opportunity this morning, because I woke up early, to take a look at the work you were doing with Ram Dreary.
Oh, the Open Heart series, yeah. The Baron Katie work.
Yes. Oh, it's so good, because this is a lot of my work. I'm really thrilled. You're doing work that is going to blend perfectly. I want to say that your eating behavior is, from watching that series, now just hear me, if this doesn't resonate, we'll say it different, is a way of acting out.
What do you mean by acting out?
Okay. When a child is upset, a child acts out. I have 3 children of my own. I can attest to this. That's what they do. That's the only way they know how to express their emotions, because that's what they do. I think a lot of from watching that piece, my sense is the big bell that went off in my head was, oh my goodness, I get it. When you're eating, the child part of you is, and I'm just going to shoot incredibly straight,
Yeah.
he's trying to punish your mother.
Yes. No, that's for sure. I mean, that's like, oh, I'm making her wrong and I get control that way, and there is this whole thing there. But really, what I'm getting clear is that I'm punishing myself more than anybody else.
Precisely. You know, there's an old, I'm sure you've heard this before, but I'll say it again because it's really brilliant. There's a Buddhist expression that when you hold anger or resentment towards somebody, when you hold those feelings, it's like holding a hot rock in your hand, wanting to throw it at them. But the whole time, you're the one getting burned.
Yeah.
What I think is brilliant about that work, and we're going to tie it together today and into the future, is the idea that you took a position at a very young age and you supported that position with evidence, and you supported that position with stories, and you fed that position, that's the expression, you fed it for many, many years. Mm-hmm. And the idea now is that you can release or give up your position.
I would love that.
And the position is something in the ballpark of my mother betrayed me. The position is my mother doesn't love me. The position is, and I can't do this for you, so you have to kind of fill in the blanks in terms of what the position is the 11-year-old girl, 12-year-old girl took towards your mom, towards your father, towards yourself, in essence, to protect yourself. Because here's the deal. The truth is that was the only way you knew how at the time to make sense of your situation. Right?
Yeah. I was in pain. I mean, I was really hurt. And that was the only thing. Food was clearly, inevitably, the thing that I've used to compensate all feelings and emotions. That, yes.
Beautiful.
And by doing that, at the same time, I'm sabotaging my, own success, or, of course, then I do yo-yo with my weight, or then I'm more heavy, and then I have this not, guilty, unsatisfied about how I look, heavier weight that is harder to, not harder to carry, but just, makes me uncomfortable. So it puts me back in that uncomfortable position. So.
Perfect. So when I say perfect, I don't mean it's perfect that's the way you've coped. We're going to work on this. But so let's go back to the very first thing I said. The weight or the eating behavior is an expression of all of these aspects of yourself. And here's the part that's counterintuitive. In order to heal, we actually have to embrace all these aspects of yourself. And that is where the challenge lies.
Yeah, because embracing,
To embrace the part of you that you've rejected, denied, to embrace the shadow aspect, the part that's been expressed in such an unhealthy way, to embrace these aspects of yourself that have been marginalized may be, at the very least, uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. And in some ways, excruciating.
Yeah.
Let's set an intention. Close your eyes real quickly and take a deep breath. Lulu, what is your intention for working with me today?
Releasing my deepest thoughts that are blocking me to release the weight.
Great. What is the risk you're willing to take?
Being wrong.
Perfect. 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 Okay, breathe into that and open your eyes. Welcome. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go for the deepest healing possible.
Yes.
I want to talk to Orly for a second. How's she doing?
She's, I've been inviting her lately more and more.
That's our work. So let's just tap in for a minute to her and where she is in your body. Can you find where she is in your body, where you can feel or resonate with her right in this moment? Chest, stomach, where? Where is she presently? I can't see your hands.
Stomach.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's your emotional center. Okay. So would you let your stomach talk for just a minute?
Yeah.
Orly's in there. How does it feel to be her? You talk as her. You don't have to use a child's voice. I'm just saying let her express how it feels to be her in your stomach right now.
Feels wrong.
Keep going. Explain that. What is the quality in wrong? What do you mean by wrong? What does she mean by wrong?
Not perfect, not adequate.
She feels inadequate?
Mm-hmm.
Is she scared?
Not right now.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Good. Okay, so what does she need to hear in order to feel adequate, in order to feel more capable? Right now in this moment, what does she need to heal? Hear to heal. What does she need to hear?
That she's loved.
Perfect. 2 hands on your stomach. And I want you to send love to her. Send compassion to her. And I want you to make a promise to her that you will care for her and love her.
Mm-hmm.
How's she doing?
Either numb to that or the heart beating really fast.
Yeah, she may have trouble believing it because she really has been rejected and denied for a very long time. So this is going to be incremental. We're going to get into how to bring her along, how to care for her incrementally. She really was cut out in a very real way.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's talk now. So, couple things. How was it taking her for a walk in the woods?
That was actually quite a lot of fun.
Oh, good. So she got to play.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so thrilled.
I mean, it was more like being with myself as a kid, It was just a lot of fun. I start making things up and having fun and talking to myself out loud, and it was really cool. I started having video ideas popping from all over the place. I mean, I had a great time.
Okay, here you go. I'm going to tell you a secret, and this isn't just you. Our creativity, and I said this last time, dwells in our innocence. It's in our belief that anything's possible. The beauty of you is that you have a sense of that and have maintained a sense of that. So that's really brilliant. But realize, as you take off the layers that you've put on top of her, you will find more and more that the creativity is just present and available all the time.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So I definitely love bringing my inner child or Aurélie, because I mean, this is fun. I let it more loose. There's less reasoning. There's more spontaneity. So I get that. What I have a challenge with is that part of me expressing itself,
Explain that to me.
In a vulnerable, authentic, natural, loving way, and not reacting.
Awesome. So this is how we do it language-wise. You are working on expressing your vulnerability, your feelings, these things, right? You're working on that, right?
Yeah.
So that's really the critical piece. As you move forward, there will be moments of opportunity, sometimes experienced as moments of discomfort, right? Let's say an awkward moment or a moment where your feelings get hurt, right? Those right now are, for us, really critical. Really critical. Because in the past, you went into a coping behavior. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
A couple different ways you coped. One is your personality is, in large part, and we've talked about this before, constructed as a way to defend you, to defend yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So to allow for the I'm sorry, you just froze. So my brain, I keep got a still picture of you going, "Where's
So
Lulu?"
I have to cope to. I mean, I have to find another way to react to things or to deal with things.
Well, and I'm going to go even farther than that. You're going to have to find a new way to experience things, right?
Yeah.
Because here's what's going to happen. You have to nurture her you have to nurture her back into your life. Yeah. It's not safe for her. A lot of your life is not safe for her to come out and get experienced and expressed.
Yeah.
So we really have to create this is the safety zone. This is the way that that's why one of the things I offered is to create a journal for her so that you're consistently checking in with the vulnerable, shy, sometimes lonely, often misunderstood.
I have.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That is great. This is powerful. All right. So that's going to be really wonderful work for you to consistently and ritualistically check in with her. Here's a question for you.
No, I'm loving it. I have to say, I thought it would be quite difficult, but the experience was pleasant. I guess I haven't tapped yet into the angry, sad, I haven't let any of those emotions up, which I thought I would be experiencing.
Okay, so
I'm still in the, I'm still in the, everything is good, I'm not really digging in there yet. Possibly.
Yeah, I'm gonna offer something. If you really work with compassion, then the drudgery, the deep sort of drudgery and painful part is not necessary. It's not necessary.
I like that.
It's counterintuitive to what most people who do this kind of work think. They think if you're not sobbing, if you're not in the deepest hole of your personal existence, you're not healing. That's junk. That's not required. Now, if you have a moment where you tap deeply into some place that needs to be grieved or expressed, I'm open to that. But the minute you apply love and compassion to it, it eases the tension, because part of what makes it so reactive is the resistance and the judgment of it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Lift that, and your experiences are all totally acceptable.
Yeah, enough suffering, because I've suffered around that area for nothing, really.
Let's talk about suffering, because you're right. Suffering is not required in life. I will tell you a secret. Pain, it's not a secret, it's something we all know. Pain is part of life, but suffering is optional. Suffering is the notion that what is going on, what you are feeling, or what is happening in the world oughtn't to be happening. The minute you are resisting what's happening, with what you're feeling or whatever, you begin to suffer. But the moment that you apply compassion allows you perspective. There's no need to suffer anymore. Things may still be painful, but the suffering stops. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So your relationship in the world to what's going on is so important, because this is where we actually end the suffering today. As you accept and embrace every part of your experience. It's interesting. I've got so many notes, and I've got so much stuff I want to jump into. I'm trying to kind of intuitively figure out where I want to go next. But because I wrote a lot of notes with your work with Ram Dreary. Yeah. You know what I want to do? Pass me that book. My book. All right. There's a quote in my book that I want to read. It's actually not mine. I quote somebody else. It's Paul Ekman. Paul Ekman is a psychologist at University of San Francisco, University of California, San Francisco. A really interesting guy. He wrote a book with the Dalai Lama called Emotional Awareness. Anyhow, here's something he says. It is as if many of us carry around the script for the play, a drama that we continually impose on situations. We are casting, like a film director would, people we encounter into the different roles that we need in order to replay the same script again and again. Like moods, emotional scripts cause us to misperceive the world. So the emotional scripts and the agreements that we have are causing us to misunderstand. We have to fit things into our little play. And when they don't fit, they have to be then denied, rejected, judged, categorized. We have to do something with them because they don't fit. Oftentimes we ignore them. We act like it's not really happening, and we continue to play out our scripts again and again and again.
Yeah.
What was deep and profound for me watching you do the work around your mom, and this goes back to the agreements piece, which we touched on, I think, in all three of the first sessions, is you have a deep and profound soul contract with your mom. You and her are doing some real healing, whether you know it or not. The trick to this is the way that she heals is by you healing. You can't fix her, change her, or even really help her heal, but you can heal your own part of that contract, right? You can heal your own agreements, and you can let go of your position, right? And the position is that she's wrong, and the position is that she's lots of things.
Yeah.
We're going to work on interrupting that script, interrupting those patterns. But as we interrupt them, this is again counterintuitive. It's as we go into it and recognize it and acknowledge it and embrace it that we then have the opportunity to choose. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. What are some, and we only have a few days left in France, what are some of the scripts that you and your mom play?
Like what?
So let's talk about it. Let's hit one of the big ones. What are the agreements about men that you and your mom have, that you share, consciously or unconsciously? What are the agreements?
Not many.
Interesting. Now I wonder about this. I'm gonna second guess you just a little bit because okay. So what voice just said not many? Because I wonder if it isn't there's a part. Okay, so let's just talk for a quick second because the rebel in you is really important, right? The rebel says, I'm not mom, okay? And the rebel is the teenager, right?
Yeah.
And the way that the teenager individuates from parents is by rejecting everything that is them.
I still do that on all levels with my mom.
Right. There's an agreement right there. I have an agreement with my mother to make her wrong. Everything that she's done, I'm going to do the opposite.
Yes.
Perfect. Forget about men. There's a script right there. There's a script. Right?
Yeah.
And the story you tell about your mom is that she's trying to fix you. And the story you tell about your mom is, what's the story you tell about your mom? Let's do it.
She's trying to fix me. She wants me to be perfect.
Control me.
Control me. But, I mean, how is that related to my weight release?
Right. So let's go back to the very beginning. Your eating behavior is an expression of, to some degree, your anger towards your mother.
Yes.
When you're eating, you're betraying mom.
And I'm betraying myself.
Well, we know that, but we're going to pause and push that over to the side right now because we're just talking about the agreement. Okay? Yes, you're right. You absolutely are betraying yourself. But that's not what's going on. In the moment you're angry at mom or you're hurt or you're whatever, this is your way of getting back at mom. Yeah. Mom, I'm not going to be a perfect little girl.
Yes.
Nana. You can't control me. I don't care what you think. Fists on hip, tongue out, the whole 9 yards. That's what it's an expression of.
Yeah, and then I'm not fooling myself with her either.
Perfect. Now we're in the ballpark. All right, I'm not fooling myself. So who are you in relationship to your mom? How old are you when your mom's around?
13, 14.
That's exactly right. So do you realize that you're still relating to your mother in large part as a 13 or 14-year-old, not as a 33-year-old woman?
She treats me as so.
I know. That's the script. We're there. Yippee. Okay, I don't have to explain this anymore. Yes, she treats you like the way you act. Absolutely. The two of you have an agreement. You have a script. Now let's talk about the script.
Okay. Now where do I go from there?
Okay, so how do you want to be in a relationship with your mother?
I want to be compassionate, loving. I mean, I'll never be the perfect daughter she wants me to. I mean, that's the annoying part.
That's the script. That's the script. That's the script. That's the script.
She's a perfectionist, so let me tell you.
That's the script. That's the script. You're an adult woman. Whatever your mother is or isn't doing is not about you. But the part of you that gets triggered or hooked is about you.
Yeah.
See, she's projecting onto you, right? So her perfectionist, which is really just all of her insecurities, when she projects, you have to be perfect. That's just her insecurities projected onto you.
Yeah.
The fact is, you take it on.
Yeah.
And or rebel against it. I don't care. It's the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So either way, you're acting out this agreement. What we want to do is consciously break the agreement. Who are you? Who would you be? Let's just ask this question.
But I want to be compassionate and loving, and
Yes, but the only way we're going to get there is if we first acknowledge what you are in a relationship with her. Okay, so who would you be?
right now in relationship with her, I am immature, righteous, arrogant.
So let's use one word. Who you are in relationship with your mother is defensive.
Yes, that's the exact word.
That's right. Okay, great. So here we go. Two hands. This is the split. Lilu can be loving, kind, understanding, compassionate, and so forth. This is Lilu right here. This is part of you, right? Lilu can be judgmental, reactive, crazy, furious, yada, yada, yada. We did this, I think, in session 2, where we looked at the two sides of yourself and can you compassionately understand and accept this part of you? Okay, this part is in the authentic self, right?
Yeah.
This part is in the denied and the false self. That's the split we have, right? Authentic self, denied, and false self. False self is the expression of the denied self, okay?
Yeah.
Right, we went over that. Okay, so this is the defensive. This is the best way you've known how to protect yourself or to whatever, right? But we've already identified that there's even an age. You and your mom are relating as if you're 13 or 14 years old. There's a part of you that took a position at 13 or 14 years old. Now, 20 years later,
yeah,
you can't give up that position. That's the dynamic the two of you have created.
Yes.
All right. Who would you, now let's just do a little imagining. Who would you be? Who would you be if you gave up the thought that your mother betrayed you? Who would you be if you gave up the thought that your mother betrayed you? Who would you be?
Gentle and compassionate.
Gentle.
Loving.
So that's what we're working on. We're working on releasing the burden of the thought. It's just a thought. That's what Ram Dreary was explaining to you, that your mother betrayed you. It's just a thought. It's a thought that you bought into at 11 years old, 12 years old, and ever since then, you've been acting. All of these things have contributed to this totally irrational belief. I watched you do it with Ram Dreary. You recognized, you flipped it. He calls it, I call it reframing. He calls it something else. I can't remember the language he uses, but it is reframing. All you're doing is you're gaining perspective and you're looking at the belief and you're viewing it from various different sides and you're flipping it over and saying, okay, what if she didn't betray me? Okay, what if she's doing the best she can? What's the truth? And as you start to see the truth, you recognize that so much of the pain in your life was built on a lie that you constructed to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. But how do you do when the other person still continues to react the old way?
The little girl in you is still waiting for mommy. I don't care what the other person does. It's not about you. What is about you is how you react to it. Look, I have a 5-year-old daughter. My 5-year-old daughter has a tantrum, okay? On a good day, I am like a container. I make sure she doesn't hurt herself. I offer her opportunities to end the tantrum. I contain her. Maybe I bring her to her room so she doesn't break anything. And I simply observe her. But the adult in me is not attached to her tantrum. I'm simply watching and observing it. It's hers. It's not mine. And then at some point she gets tired and I help her. I coach her. Literally, I coach my daughter emotionally to help her understand what's going on for her so that she understands what it looks like. But I don't take that on as a reflection of me on a good day. On a bad day, I react, and that's about me. Okay? I have a mother. I have a brother. And sometimes I watch their behavior. More and more I watch it than get hooked into it. And I simply watch it. Yeah. And the part of me that I have grown myself up in a particular way. I have grown myself up to where their behavior is not a reflection of me. It's a reflection of...
Yeah, and I have those little moments here and there with my mom too, where I observe her and I'm like, boy, man, she's doing her thing. And I love when I see it from that perspective.
Great. So the perspective right now for the next however many days is that your mother is your master teacher. Your mother is your master teacher. Right?
My mom is my master teacher.
She is.
My mom is my master. Mom, you're my master teacher.
She is. What's she teaching you?
She's teaching me.
About yourself. What is she reflecting back to yourself?
To be loving towards myself.
Perfect.
Unconditionally.
Perfect. And you even have to love the rebellious part of you. And you have to find a healthy expression because, frankly, in relationship with her, you're over-identified with that.
I'm going to bring humor in.
Humor. Yeah. Yeah, and so you can use these adjustments working on how it feels to be in relationship with her. In truth, in real truth, there's an 11-year-old girl whose world has been destroyed, and inside she's deeply hurt and deeply wounded. That's the truth. And what she did to construct and to make sense of her reality is to make mom wrong, is to believe that she did something wrong, that the little girl, Orly, 11 years old, believes she caused your parents' divorce.
Right.
Right. Right. And then, and so that's that's the piece where the, I asked about, I'll split from that for just a sec, but we'll come right back to it. I asked about agreements with regards to men. You know, there was an interesting piece. We're still going to do the preparing for a mate, but it's interesting because in a particular way you're doing it. Because if you're going to be in a healthy relationship, everything that we're talking about is going to get triggered in a relationship with whatever man you bring in, because on some very real level, our partners become our master teachers. They do. Marianne Williamson calls it the Holy Spirit's laboratory for our maximum growth. So where we bring in the teacher and we get triggered all over the place and we project like mad onto them, the piece of us that knows we're doing that is where the healing occurs. I'll talk very personally. My wife and I, thank God, we have this peace. And I can tell you a little bit of where we actually got the peace from, because there's a story behind it. There's a fairly dramatic moment. I was going to save this one. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you now. So my wife and I did our first year of the master's degree program in spiritual psychology at the University of Santa Monica together. We went into the program in large part to work on our relationship and work on ourselves. And the fact that, there was a master's degree was really very much secondary. It's a very experiential program. And in that program, we would break up and we would do these exercises. And some of them were very deep and very profound, and people would have profound experiences. So after we would do the exercise, there would be a session where we shared in a large group. It's like 275 people in my class. It's a massive class. And the teachers are up on stage, and it's like a big, it's not a normal little small class. And they're having people share. And I'm so open after this process. And these two strangers, women who I've met one after the other, get up and they share about their process. And I have so much compassion for them. I'm so open and so loving and so understanding. And then after the second person, they ask, is there anyone else who'd like to share? And my wife's hand goes up and my stomach drops. And I go, oh no. And I'm thinking, is she going to talk about me? Am I in trouble? Right? Which, by the way, if I'm personal, so much of my relationship with women has been this dynamic, and I've acted it out and it's gotten a little crazy. But this is it. And then my wife gets up and she starts to share, and I'm feeling myself shut down. I'm having so much trouble having compassion for the woman I love. The woman who was born, at that point we had Antonio. She bore my son. This is my wife who I live with. And I'm so defensive. And I have the opportunity to witness it in my own body. And in that moment, I had to make a decision. And I consciously opened my heart. And now I had already been married to, I'd been with her for 3 or 4 years. We had been married for several years. And I watched her share her experience. And I heard it with just this level of observation, right? And then right after she shared, they announced we're going to lunch. And I went to my wife and I said, would you like to, let's go to lunch together, just us two. Let's not invite anybody. And on the way to lunch, we're walking out in front of the school, and I said, I see you. And I have to tell you, it's the first time ever. And I explained to her that prior to that, there was a part of me that couldn't really see her. I was married to a woman who I projected a lot onto. And I say about my first wife, this is my second marriage, I don't know who she is. I really don't. I know her name, I know things about her, I met her family, but the essence of who she is, I never allowed myself to get that close. I never allowed myself to see her as other. That not the part of me that was depending upon her to be my wife and to like me and not, all this, that little wounded part of me. And ever since then, and she really met me there. We had a beautiful lunch. I mean, we were both just so present and so loving. And there's been lots of other layers of our work. But even when we're in our bullshit, there's a part of us that observes and knows what we're doing. And we recognize that we're healing. And we recognize that we're projecting. And we even take care of it some ways. We say, look, I'm about to dump all my junk on you. To the best of your ability, don't take it on. Right? We'll even say things like that as we go to work things out. We are, our agreement, our conscious agreement, because remember we have conscious agreements and unconscious agreement. Our conscious agreement is to heal in relationship to one another. That's what we have consciously agreed to do. My first marriage, there was no conscious agreement. There was a whole slew of unconscious agreements, and we projected like mad, and we crashed the bus.
So yeah, so that's intimacy. Yeah, I would like to be into the into me you see, intimacy.
Yeah, into me you see. You got it. That's exactly right. And what you're working on.
I'm not intimate with my mom.
No, and that's fine. And the fact of the matter is, look.
I mean, we learn how to become good friends. I have to say that I've done a lot of work, and I have to acknowledge that too, is that we have really gotten much closer. We had long conversation about all of this. And now, this is, I hope, one of the final pieces to really free myself up. Because she doesn't get in, it doesn't get to me as much as before. It's still there, but nothing compared to where it was before. I can tell you that much. We really got to bond and be friends. There's still a lot, but,
So here it is. I released my agreement with my mother.
I released my agreement with my mother.
Yeah. And the agreement is that that you're going to be was it disappointment, not going to live up to,
Yeah.
I really, Yeah, that's the piece that you know, and the forgiveness, the self forgiveness is I forgive myself for judging myself. I forgive judging myself as not being a good daughter. I forgive myself for judging myself. You know, all of those things are the pieces of self forgiveness that you get to do right now. You have the opportunity to let go of the stone, the burning stone in your hand. I release, or I forgive myself for judging that my mother betrayed me. Can you say that?
I forgive myself for judging that my mother betrayed me.
And the truth is,
And that's the contract we had.
yeah, and the truth is,
And the truth is that I love her.
beautiful. And the truth is that your mother was
And
doing
I
the
love
best.
myself.
Beautiful. And the truth is, your mother was doing the best she could. If she knew better, she would have done better.
Yep.
All of her confusion, all of her sadness and grief, all of her lineage that you inherited, and that you've acted out in this very dramatic way with your mother, from the time of the divorce to now, right?
Yeah, I get that. I get that on a conceptual level, but I wish. How does that tie in then practically with my relationship with food? You know.
So, how do you want to be when you have a moment where you get triggered and your mother's your master teacher and she triggers you, and if she's not triggering you, someone else is triggering you in the same way, where you want to act out with food, or you want to cope with food, or comfort with food. Those are the ways, the unconscious ways that you relate to food, correct?
Yeah.
So what we want to do is we actually want to create ways to interrupt those patterns and meet your needs consciously. One of the things I wanted to do today, there's a lot of the sort of practical things, what you're talking about, that you actually begin to construct as ways to interrupt the behavior. The big one is to create rituals around food. So when you go to eat, I want you to have a very ritualistic, conscious pattern for eating. So I want you to form a mealtime affirmation, something like this. I'm grateful for. I'm doing one, but you can use it or something different. I am grateful for the sacrifice that this. It's not an animal because you don't eat meat, but if it were, you'd say this animal, or you'd say this plant, so that its life force can become part of me and nourish my body. Again, the more grounded it is in the imperative, so I can go out and be of loving service to others. The mealtime affirmation, the more it's tied to an imperative, meaning what really motivates you, okay? The more it's about nurturing and caring for your body. Then when you eat every bite with that intention. That you breathe between bites and that you stay present with what you're putting in your body, okay? That's the one I want you to work on now. There's going to be lots of other ones we work with, some pattern interruption ones. I'll give you one of mine, just so you have a sense of the other things we'll add in. So when I watch sports, I get very anxious. When I'm anxious, I eat. I like to crunch. I like to snack when I watch sports. The pattern interruption is apples. I give myself permission to eat as many apples as I want when I watch sports or when I get anxious in general. We have a whole drawer full of apples that are mine to eat whenever I want. I've set that up as a strategy for what we call pattern interruption. Does that make sense?
Because right now, you know how I feel?
Talk to me.
I feel that I'm releasing a lot and I feel lost. Like, part of me doesn't know what to do and I feel scared, and when I'm scared I eat.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. So let's just pause right here in this moment.
So it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. So it's a lot.
I'm doing this work with between Ram, Jerry, you, and Michael Lozier. That's a lot. Listen, wait a second. I have just my wait. I'm the one that has to pause this now.
So let's acknowledge that you're doing a lot of work right now, and there's a part of you that's feeling a little lost because some of the ways that you coped, you feel like you don't have those at your disposal.
Yeah.
Is that accurate? Yeah. Okay. So how are you going to take care of yourself? What is your plan to take care of yourself during this time of incredible change and flux? How are you going to take care of the little girl inside of you that feels scared and overwhelmed? How do you plan to do that?
You see, that's a big realization that I'm saying that I don't know how to take care of that part of me. I mean, it's really big.
I agree.
And that
So
I'm
let's
expressing it. So, I mean, I want to nurture. Uh,
That's it. Breathe is one. So that's one thing, is breathe and make time for her. Again, a big part of where you have gone awry is that there's this part of you that's been cut off and denied. So look, here's the beautiful opportunity. Congratulations. In
Yeah.
this moment, I can see it in your eyes.
No,
You're
that's
more
big. That's big, Michael. And I just, you know, something that I heard that feels right now is to just like give myself, I mean, embrace myself, you know?
Yes, yes. And give her a bath. Take her for a walk. Journal. Allow her. You are tapping. This is so important. You're in the most fertile territory because this is the part of you have to learn to care for the rest of your life. It starts today.
But you see, I never saw that part before just this instant. Like right now, I got the clear distinction of it's like this separate, isolated self within. It's not a concept anymore. It's like
Good.
I can feel the denial of it right there. I see it. I see it.
Yes,
It's like a separate entity.
that's it. So and we've called this part Aurelie. And I like that. So let's keep this Aurelie. How do I take care of Aurelie? This is it. You got it. This is so brilliant. Sorry, that'll go away. This is so brilliant. Lilou, you're here. Don't go anywhere. Stay with me here. This is it. This is the work.
So I'm gonna breathe and embrace and journal.
And you're going to care for her very consciously. One of the things we've
And I'm
talked
gonna
about.
nurture her. I mean, I'm gonna talk to her
Talk to her
lovingly.
lovingly.
I'm gonna listen to her, acknowledge her,
Yeah.
take her for a walk. I mean, I can see everything that you've been telling me now. I mean, I see it as a separate little lost kid. I mean, really, I see the whole thing.
Let me tell you something. This part of you, as it becomes integrated, will change the quality of your life forever.
I can totally see that, Michael. With Freeman. I can see it.
I'll answer to either. I don't care. So listen. Let's just sit here. This is so precious, and we have to sit here for a moment and just hold as sacred this moment where you recognized that there's a part of you that's been rejected, denied, and so forth, and your liberation is integrating this part back into you, finding authentic expressions. In order to ask for what you need, you have to know what you need.
Yeah.
In order to know what you need, you have to be connected to this part of you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting because preparing for a mate, if you're going to be in a relationship with a man, you have to be able to ask him for what you need, and really ask deeply for what you need.
Yeah, but if you're not conscious before this session or before 5 minutes ago, I was not conscious of this denied self. You just don't see it. All of that is just words before. You just don't see it. I didn't see it until now.
Yeah.
Now it's like a separate entity. It's not even Aurélie. It's not even Aurélie. It's been denied for way longer than that. It's like a third little thing. It's like fetus big. It's like it's been totally denied.
Okay, I'm going to push a little bit. So let's just talk about it. I talk about healing your lineage. This part of you, Eckhart Tolle calls it the pain body. It's pain that you inherited from generational. It's DNA. It's at that level. Now that's a little esoteric and a little weird, and it's like science, and I'm going to tell you who really cares. But just know, as you deeply accept every part of you, you in a particular way are doing spiritual work. You're doing God's work. You are accepting every part of your humanity, and you're finding an expression of that in the world. That's what we're here to do. That's where the love occurs. Love is not some heightened, yippee kind of moment. Love is deep, and it dwells in this territory. That's what has to be expressed in the world. That's what you're healing.
Yeah.
So great.
That's how it feels. It feels like it's much longer than that.
It is.
It's a separate entity. That's really how I can best express how it feels.
Yeah, let me pause for just a sec. Jose, do I have a 9 today? What do I have? Okay, good. All right, awesome. We're good. We're going to run over a little because we had some breaks, and I just want to make sure I didn't have an appointment after you. I don't. So we're going to... Are you open to continuing a little bit more? Because I have some pieces I want to tie together.
Yeah, 5-10 minutes? Or
perfect. That's right. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into the work. Okay. Okay, so your mother's. Let's go back to the work. Your mother's. We're going to leave this, but we're going to. It's a point of reference. We know that this part dwells, and we know what your deeper, more profound soul work is on this planet. Mother is master teacher. In the next few days, you're going to have an opportunity to practice observing, practice compassion, practice self-care. Okay? Yeah. Practice observing, practice compassion, practice self-care.
Yeah.
You're going to practice consciously individuating from your mom. This is the adult individuating, making a choice not to be her, not to be attached to what she is so the little girl in you's needs get met. You're going to take care of your own inner child so that she can behave however she wants, and it's not a reflection of you, nor is it a betrayal of you.
Mm-hmm.
It has very little, if anything, to do with you at all.
Yes.
Now, here's a secret with agreements. You may experience some pushback from her. It's unconscious. She doesn't mean to do it, but as you start to break the agreement, it kind of freaks people around us out, and they don't always want to let go of the agreement. In other words, they may play the script out in a bit more of a dramatic fashion. Just hold that loosely in the back of your brain. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm so thrilled. Hey, quick question. How are the dreams going?
I've been dreaming quite a lot.
Now,
Not really remember. I don't remember at this second. I didn't record it, but I had some vivid dream in the morning. What was it? I remembered it all day long, and next time I'm gonna write them down.
Write it down. I'll tell you why it's so important. Okay, look. here's a piece, and I said this to you before. When we wake up from a dream and we allow ourselves to resonate with the sensations, okay? Those are more real. Those are more tangible sometimes than we're going to experience at all in the rest of our waking day. Okay? Mm-hmm. Because what happens in our dreams are the language of the subconscious. That's why it often happens in symbols, it happens in pictures. They aren't thoughts or ideas, they're sensory, they're impressions, they're quick hits. They grab us in a sensory way, and they shake us sometimes, or they're very deep and profound. So when you sit with those in the morning, and you just sit with them for a minute, and you record them a little bit, I said this before, they become points of reference. That's who you really are. That's what's really going on for you. And so, 5 or 6 hours later, you may have an experience in the world where if you're tapped into that sensory experience, it hits you there. See, as you learn to nurture and be with this very real part of you, The sensations that in the past may have overwhelmed you aren't overwhelming, and you become more real. I'm sorry if I don't have the best language to describe this, but you have to experience it. I can't really just tell you. Just know that when you're vibrating in a sensation in the morning after a very vivid, very intense dream, that's the real you. That's what you're really feeling in a day.
Could we
But
possibly start off next session with that? Because I feel like there's been so much this session that I'm nearly I feel good with it, and I would love. I think the dream is so important. I would love to bring in and record between now and next session my dreams, and that we can, because I feel it's so important for me and a lot of other people to talk about dreams, and you can give us your insight about it.
Yeah, because the dreams are more real than the reality we think we put into. We'll do that next time. So that'll be what we start with next time.
Otherwise, I feel it's too much for me in one session.
It's too much. All right, let's go back over this just so you know what you're doing. Your mom is your master teacher. In the next few days, you're going to practice observing, observation. You're going to practice applying compassion to yourself. You're going to practice self-care, and you're going to consciously individuate from your mom. You are consciously breaking agreements. You are consciously not acting out the script. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That is so important. The second piece of your homework is starting just right now, conceptualize. You don't have to get it right. Conceptualize a ritualized practice around eating that involves an imperative, a deep sense of mission that you're feeding your body. It's a meditative, mindful process. We actually do a process called mindful eating. I'll take you through it at some point. But right now, I just want you to entertain that as a concept, so that there's a distinction here. When you're eating unconsciously, I call it feeding the beast. When you're using it to cope, all you want to do when you're doing that is observe that that's what you're doing. Again, we're back to the split. When you're eating consciously, you're fueling, you're taking in life force energy to fuel your greater spiritual purpose, your greater sense of who you are. It's an act of self-love is what eating is going to become for you. So right now, eating is often an act of self-hatred. The split. We want to get to where it's an act of self-love. It's okay. You don't deny the fact that it's an act of self-hatred. You observe it and you apply compassion, and ultimately you interrupt it and so forth, and you find ways to love yourself. But we want food and feeding your body to be an act of self-love. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it. So with all of our work, it's the integrated self. We're just healing your split.
Okay.
I'm so glad. Two things I'm really grateful for. One is that you took the risk to do the work from France. I honestly don't know if we could have gotten the aha that you got, where you went, oh, I see the part of me that's been rejected and denied. I now know viscerally. It isn't just a concept in your head. It's in your body of what that is for you. It's in your stomach, right? It's in your thighs. It's in the back of your neck. That's what you're going to be in a relationship with. You're going to care for yourself. That's what we're working on.
It's even actually separated from me. That's how detached it was. It's actually outside. It's not even inside. That's the worst part of it. I mean, the good part of knowing it, but the worst part is that it's not even inside anymore.
Well, you have so disassociated. You have so disassociated from your body, right? You've so disassociated from this part of your experience. So the reintegration of integrating back in so you can be whole again.
With the love, I'm going to be able to reintegrate.
That's it. Compassion is an act of love. That's what compassion is. So every time you offer compassion to yourself, it is an act of love. Every time you offer compassion out in the world, it is an act of love. It is also the only thing that's real. You've heard this before, but it's kind of like, what the hell does that mean? Love is the only thing that's real. Defensiveness causes us to misperceive the world. Love or compassion, compassion is an act of love, allows us to see clearly, and then we make choices that are self-honoring, self-loving. That's what your essence is. That's what you're here to do.
Yes.
You're doing great. Let's plan to meet up. You and Jose will email back and forth and figure out when it fits in my schedule. Next time we meet, we're starting with dreams.
Thank you, Freeman, for this awesome session and being such a compassionate listener and coach. Thank you.
You're doing brilliant work. Great work.
And I look forward to our session 5 then of the weight release series.
Awesome. Thanks, Lilu.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.